our site was, I think, one of the most pure sites in terms of recognition of artists with lyricism, with substance,
Yeah.
not predicated on radio hits and commercial success, but really on artistry. Um, what, why do you think we got kind of put into that box where we really had to kind of lock down and really focus more on artists we thought might bring more high wattage?
Well, that's a really good question. And I think the standard has changed a lot too. And that's not to say that an artist like Fred doesn't meet that standard, but I think that people crave songs. And there's like a few different lanes for what people want. A fully made song isn't something that I had heard a lot of from Fred in recent years, and that is no way to discredit him. That all changed. Like he had, I'll come back to that. But yeah, I mean, those artists didn't always make the most complete songs, but when they went and did freestyles, when they did ciphers, when they did, 1 minute, covers, that's where they could take it to another level. Do you see it differently?
Well, yeah, yeah, I do. I guess what I'm really trying to get at is, this touches on another artist who has been really affected by COVID, which is Westside Gunn.
Hmm.
He just dropped an album Friday, right? Was it Friday, this
Two
past
Fridays
Friday, or
ago.
2 Fridays ago, which is just phenomenal. I love this album. But he was very quiet about his experience until recently. He just did an interview where he opened up about it with Peter Rosenberg and just talked about in great detail how much it affected him and like how he had thought he was okay and then he had a relapse and was in the hospital and like thought he was going to die, like
Yeah.
really that serious. But in the course of the interview, and you and I have spoken with him and with Benny and that whole Griselda crew
Hmm.
on a few occasions. It's interesting to me that they fit the exact same criteria you just described, right? Like underground,
Yeah.
not necessarily like hooks and not making radio music, very dense lyricism, hardcore, hard scrabble, but they have managed to go to a whole different level than almost anyone in their peer group right now. Why do you think that is? Why do you
So
think
that's that's
some
that's a
pops
good
for and others it
parallel.
doesn't?
I think that at some point there becomes a narrative built around any artist. And now with social media, they can control their own narrative and really broadcast themselves. But I think that like Fred, you know, I personally, not being in the 2000s, early 2000s New York culture, I didn't know a lot about him besides what we had both said. Like one of the best at punchlines, impeccable timing, always found the pocket, really took his independent hype to high heights with the double XL cover, but you didn't know a lot else about him. And Griselda, here we are 3 years after, 3 years to the month, I believe, after they announced their signing with Shady and have made documentary videos, have gotten a lot of coverage. And at that point, you start to get invested. You can make the same argument right now for somebody like Reason with TDE. Like, watch what happens this year when people start to learn who he is as a person. That persona and coverage will take flight, and the recognition comes after.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I do think that, and not to say that Fred didn't do this, but I think that in general, artists who really pour their life into it, like open up and let you see who they are as people,
Yeah,
are the ones who thrive. That's the commonality between like a Kendrick, a Cole, a Drake,
yeah,
Griselda, all these cats really, are incredibly transparent. That's why we loved Boogie, you and I.
yeah.
Even like an Eminem, like I mean, like for all the gimmickry and everything that he had, and like the dense lyricism, I think it was the songs like that where he would like drop hints about like what's going on in his life with his daughter and his baby
Yeah,
mom and all that stuff that really kind of separated him from most other people.
definitely. Yeah, I mean, like Joe Budden, you knew the names of his exes long before,
Love and
there
hip
was
hop.
ever love and hip hop.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
But what Griselda has accomplished just in the last 2 or 3 years of putting out these things, I mean, Westside Gunn's released 3 albums, maybe more in the last year. And, you know, at the same time, he's probably made his best project to date.
which is insane, right? I mean, just
Yeah.
the volume of music that he puts out, and to be able to go to a different level at this stage, and to do it at a time where he's, you know, really
Yeah.
feeling like he's on his deathbed too, which is insane. You know, I watched that interview, and he talked about how he was really inspired by being in Paris during Fashion Week and being around Virgil Abloh and people like that. He said he hung out with Pop Smoke actually too,
Yeah.
you know, shortly before he passed. And yeah, I mean, the guy he's brilliant. Like, I know when we sat down with him and did that interview, which people can check out too on our channel, it was really cool to see how methodical and strategic he's been
Yeah.
in building this. You know, it's not an accident; it's by design. And you know, I'm just very impressed by what they've done. And they all three. I was listening to it today. Part of I think what makes Griselda work so well is they all three have different frequencies. You know, Gunn is the high end, um, Benny's the low end, and like Conway is like mid range. Just
And you mean the
sonically,
vocal
just the
frequencies?
vocal frequency, just sonically, like they just fit together really well. They bounce off each other really well. You know, and um, I'll tell you two things. So one, just talking about the movement, and we talked about this with Gunn, is that I was at A3C. It was 2017, and I saw them, and it was like in a bar, and it was maybe like 20 or 30 dudes in there.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like real rough and tumble, and like hardcore Griselda. Like it felt like, you know, being in Buffalo or something like that, checking
Yeah.
it out, a local show. A year later, they're performing during the day on the main stage, and it almost seemed like A3C messed up by putting them during the day because it was packed. I've been
Yeah.
at A3C 6, 7 times. I've never seen a day stage packed. You know, and just in a year, you could see how different the momentum was for those cats, right? Like
Yeah.
so, it reminded me of almost like, you know, being around Kendrick, because like you said, I was around Kendrick. Like it felt like I think I saw Kendrick probably on average like every 2 weeks for like 2 years. Like, you
Hmm.
know, between 106 and award shows and stuff like that, just was around him quite a bit. But it was amazing to me to see the transformation for him from you know, like March of 2012 or so until like you know, end of 2012. Like
Yeah. See that
um,
with Griselda.
yeah, I saw that with Griselda. You know, and in terms of frequencies, so I had a conversation once with, it was me, um, a couple coworkers from Stephen Hill, Kelly Griffin from BET, and then Kanye and Two Chains.
Hmm.
We're all backstage talking, and we were talking about Meek Mill at the time. And Kanye was saying that he loved Meek. We were all talking about how we like Meek, and like Kanye was saying how hip hop just needs that frequency sometimes. You know, that high pitched voice, right? Because Meek has got that voice, like MC Shy D. Like you can go back and think,
Yeah.
identify unique, high pitched, Easy E. You know, like there are a lot of people, and
Sure.
Westside Gunn is filling that niche right now. Is that high frequency voice?
He is, and he's really doing. I mean, he's doing it for all the forefathers in hip hop, like you mentioned, rock, like Planet Asia. There's like West delivery, the beat choice, all of that. Yeah, it's really great to see, and I've never seen a player coach. You know, West, you know, is kind of the main shot caller, as I understand it, of Griselda, but he's also the front artist. He put out others so quickly with him. Usually, you know, you look at Dreamville or you look at TDE, it took a few years before others could start, you know, to get there. And I know Benny, you know, was jammed up for a bit, but even just starting right away with Conway, Griselda has really been a bootstrap movement, which is great to see.
Yeah, yeah, brick by brick.